we are back, and at E3, I have finally got the interview for the one game that just absolutely blew me away when I saw it yesterday. We're going to be talking about Dragon Age Inquisition. I'm with Cameron, who is a producer on the game. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Now, I saw the most incredible live demo yesterday, which looked beautiful. But the biggest change for us is this is open world. So where before you kind of just select where you're going on the map. But how are you guys building this open world? Because you've got to keep those pretty populated to make them entertaining.
Yeah, it's a lot of hard work. So there's a lot of devs right now who are working very hard, very late nights. But you are right, it's a massive open world. So we have 10 huge, varied open world regions in this game. Plus, we also have this massive Bioware narrative story in the game, and that's in addition to those 10 areas. So what we've done is we've blended those two things together. We've glued them together through the Inquisition, which is the players' organization, their own organization, which they found, they build up, they recruit people into it. And so that Inquisition, everything from your castle that you own and you can customize, to the war table where you can order your soldiers out and to do things, to change the landscapes and to decide where the story goes next, that's the glue that brings open world gameplay in Dragon Age Inquisition and the story together for the first time in a Bioware game.
Now, when we saw the kind of demo, there are now kind of 4 classes to choose from. You've got the elf, you've got human, you've got mage, and this time Qunari as well. So what's that been like developing?
So yeah, we've got 4 races, so human, elf, dwarf, and Qunari, who's the guy with the big horns. They're badass, or guy or girl. 2 genders, of course. Yeah. And we have the 3 classes, so mage.
So, because I got confused.
You got confused as well. No,
so
it's all right. Everyone does it. Yeah.
This one.
Yeah. So we got the mage, which is always my favorite, the rogue, and the warrior. And each of those 3 classes also has 3 specialization options that they can go down to as well. So all told, there's a hell of a lot of different customization that you can have. You can really make the character that you want to make, be the race you want to be, look how you want to look, because you can customize your face. We've got a huge crafting system in the game, so you can have different types of armor and different weapons and make it look the way you want to look with the stats that you want. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty deep.
You tell us anything about the characters in the gameplay demo? We spent a lot of time with Sarah and Vivian. Will they kind of be the new party members for Dragon Age?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a huge cast of new characters coming in, both party members and also the surrounding characters in the world. And we have a lot of returning characters that people love. So Morrigan's back. Yeah. She's not a follower, but she's a major part of the Inquisition. We have Varric and Cassandra, yes, who are party members. So it's good to see Varric's Bianca crossbow back. He's in absolute love with Bianca. And then Sarah, who you mentioned, she's this elf archer girl. She's really sassy. She's really cool, actually. She's a really hard one to put in a demo, I've got to say, because she's so sassy that if you don't know her character, she can sound really mean. She's like, yeah. And Vivian, who's the mage, the Elysian mage, she's kind of like an ice queen. So she's kind of like the polar opposite to Morrigan in a way. So it's going to be really interesting for players to see how those relationships sort of go together, because not only can you form relationships with the characters in the world, both romantic and otherwise, but your companions and the characters in the game also form relationships with each other. So it's going to be really interesting.
So when we're kind of moving around the world, we kind of saw in a demo they're saying, oh, there's a giant bear. You know, if you're needing to do some crafting, for example, and you're going hunting after all these bears, you might find less. How are you guys kind of monitoring that? Because we can really affect the world.
Yeah, you really can. So there's a couple of things we do. One, there's the World Master system that we've built, which we mentioned in the demo. So that is a way for us to do an emergent population of these massive open worlds. Because they're so big, you need a system to get in there and do it. We still hand place a lot of content, but things like bears, things like bandits, different factions of rebels or merchants and villagers and things like that, those can be populated with the World Master system. And you can affect that World Master system, so you can change what spawns in certain areas. So Mike, Laidlaw, or Mark, depending on who did the demo for you, would have talked about how you can kind of like kill all the bears, right? Yeah. But it's not just that simple. I mean, you can go into an area and there might be rebels in that, or a rebel faction. You can wipe them out and another faction may come in and take its place. And then you may have to do something with those guys. So it's quite a complex system. So that's one way that you can affect the world. And the other way is through the narrative and the decisions and actions that you take as a player. So when you make these big choices, it will have a dramatic impact on the world, both at the endings and also throughout the course of the game as well. So yeah, it's really, we want to give people a fantastic world, give them all of the options to make the character they want to make, and give them a wicked story, and then set them loose and just say, go for it. It's your world.
Amazing. It's a big world. We can now got new ways to get around. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so we've got horses and different mounts. So we showed horses in the demo at E3, but you can also get a variety of different mounts. Yeah, so my favorite one is the bog unicorn. The bog unicorn. So it's not actually a unicorn, right? What it is, it's an undead horse, right? That's been sitting in like a bog, so it's all like black and like messed up, right? And its horn, its unicorn horn, is the sword that someone killed it with shoved through its head. So the sword's sticking out looking like a unicorn. So that's my personal favorite. We've got various kind of like lizardy sort of creatures that you can ride. And there's something that's kind of like a cross between a nug, which is like a little pig kind of creature. Yeah, that's a cross between that and like I guess like a water buffalo or something like that. That's really weird, that one.
That's amazing. Okay, so crafting. We can craft like armor and weapons now. Talk a little bit about that.
Yes, so the crafting in Dragon Age Inquisition is the most complex and deep that Bioware's ever done. So generally how it works is you have kind of like a template. And that template could be for armor, it could be for weapons, or, other pieces of equipment. And you can insert different metals, different materials into different slots in that template, and it will keep the shape of the item, but it will change the physical characteristics of that item. So it will change the look, it will change the stats. So you can really customize how you look and how you're building your character. So if you use, for example, nug leather, because you've hunted all the nugs, which I love doing, for the hilt of a sword, you'll see that compared to if you use like dragonline scales as a hilt. Yeah, it's pretty badass.
The battle. Now, obviously, one of the great things about Dragon Age, like I pretty much like a sword. I run in. If it doesn't work, I get a bigger sword and run in again.
Yeah.
But the tactical, it's always been great. But you guys have done some kind of updates to that as well.
Yeah, we have. So players can play in action, as you mentioned, kind of like you. You can run around and just like charge your way in, which is fantastic. And even in that mode, there's some tactical sort of decision making that you'll need to make. Like, do I jump onto high ground or do I hold this choke point? But players always have the option of firing up the tactical view, which brings the camera up, and they've now got complete control over the camera, unlike the previous game. So not only is it just sitting up above the battlefield where you can see everything, but you've got free-form camera movement, so you can zoom in, pan around, see different angles to really get the best kind of information you can. Some other things we've done is when you hover over different enemies, it will show some details about that enemy. The more you learn about that enemy, the more information you're going to see. So you might see whether that enemy's been debuffed, whether they might be weak to cold or fire. So again, it's like I'm getting more information here, more knowledge about how I can tactically, run this encounter, right? Yeah, it's really cool. Incredible.
Right, I'm going to ask you one last question. Sure. Very personal question.
Okay.
Is Alistair coming back?
I've had that question so often. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. Okay, what should I say?
I've seen him, he's tweeted a few things. The voice actor has tweeted a few things, I believe.
Yeah, so what I'll say is that the decisions that players may have made in previous games, Dragon Age games, will affect Dragon Age Inquisition.
Okay.
So that's all I can really say. But I do also want to say that if you haven't played a Dragon Age game before, there's no reason why you can't play this game. We've spent a lot of time making sure the beginning of the game is paced really nicely for new players. We've put a lot of the sort of complex lore that longtime fans like yourself may want to know. We've pushed it off to the side in the prologue so you can still go and enjoy it, but for the new fans, they can just get through, get up to speed, and then we unleash them on the world and it's like, have fun.
Cameron, thank you so much. I'm on top of the world. I was desperate for this interview. I just want to share everything with you guys. Thank you so much for watching. We have loads more coming up for E3, and please subscribe to the channel.